This is Kalamazoo Transit Center, the hub for local buses, intercity buses, and Amtrak service. This is an Amtrak line, and today we are going to be traveling from my hometown of Kalamazoo, Michigan, to my parents' hometown, where I grew up, of Chicago, Illinois, which happens to be the third largest city in the United States of America, and a major hub for commerce, business, and more. Amtrak services 46 out of 50 U.S. states. However, one of the things you need to know about Amtrak is that 97% of their rail trackage is not owned by them. It's owned instead by private freight train companies who prioritize carrying heavy goods across the country. As a result, Amtrak service is limited to speeds of 79 miles per hour or less through most of the country, therefore making it lag behind countries like China, Japan, the European Union, and more. However, in Michigan, the U.S. state we are in today, where I live, we are going to be traveling at a speed that is competitive to driving, which is what most Americans really care about when they take the train. A speed of 110 miles per hour. Because Amtrak actually owns the lines in most of Michigan, a rarity for any state. Here in Kalamazoo, we see 4 trains a day. 3 of those daily trains are part of the Wolverine service. The Wolverine service connects Chicago, New Buffalo, Michigan, Jackson, Michigan, and the Metro Detroit area, including both downtown Detroit and major suburbs along the way. However, the Blue Water service, the one daily service that we didn't account for in this list, also services Kalamazoo and goes to Chicago. But from Chicago, it goes to a different set of cities. It follows the Wolverine line until Battle Creek, Michigan, the stop east of Kalamazoo. Then it splits off and goes to East Lansing, Michigan, and then continues to the Canadian border at Port Huron, Michigan, where it dead ends. Today, we'll be taking the Blue Water service and head westbound to Chicago. Here we go! By the way, I should probably state this up front. Hi, I'm Faraz Haider. I'm a classical pianist who also likes making variety content. I haven't made variety content in years, and I'm trying to do it for fun, because why not? So if you like this kind of content, be sure to let me know in the comments, tell me what else you'd like to see, and of course, if you like classical piano, be sure to subscribe, because this is a channel dedicated to the corners of the classical piano repertoire. So, yeah. I know this is not a usual video for me by any means, but I hope you enjoy it anyway, because I like making random videos like this from time to time, and I hope to do more of this in the future. Well, let's hop on the train.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you? Sorry for taking the spot. It's really full today.
You're fine. arriving into our next intermediate station stop of Dowagiac. If Dowagiac is your station stop, please take this time to check both above and around your seats for your personal belongings. On exit the train as directed by a member of the crew and be mindful of the gap to the train station platform as you exit. We'd also like to thank you for choosing the Blue Water service. Once again, Dowagiac is up next. Dowagiac is a quick stop.
As we pull into the next station stop, which is Dowagiac, Michigan, this is a good time to remind you about Amtrak itself and what it does. Amtrak doesn't only serve big cities like Chicago, New York City, Washington, D.C., or Los Angeles. It's also known for serving the medium-sized cities like my own of Kalamazoo. It's also good for serving smaller cities and even small little towns. And Dowagiac, Michigan is definitely a small little town. And that's why Amtrak has proven to be so popular across both sides of the political spectrum, is because Amtrak serves everybody in America. Both the big cities, the small towns, and everyone in between. That's why it's so popular in 46 out of 50 US states. And now, we're going to pull into Dowagiac and come to a complete stop, but only for a little bit. Because our next stop is literally only like 10 minutes away or so. Ladies and gentlemen, now departing from Dowagiac, our next intermediate station stop will be Niles. Niles next in 8 minutes. it's me again. Hope you haven't forgotten I still exist. I'm still here to commentate, don't worry. Just I'm more sparing about it. It's also worth noting that Niles is actually not that far away from the Indiana state line, as Niles, Michigan is very close to South Bend. However, we're going to be staying in Michigan a little bit longer, as we have one final stop in Michigan to make after Niles. It's also interesting to me as we pull into Niles, Michigan, that Niles has much better Amtrak service than South Bend, Indiana, just a little bit to our south, has. Because Amtrak's South Bend service is heavily reliant on long-distance trains connecting Chicago with the East Coast. Hardly reliable. In comparison, Niles has much more reliable service to Chicago than South Bend does, at least if you're only talking about Amtrak. If you're talking about the South Shore Line, however, that's a different story. Here's here's a little look at the legroom. And I don't really want to keep my backpack on my back, so I'm going to take it off at some point.
I'm tired of wearing this backpack. I'm gonna put it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, now departing from Niles, our next intermediate station stop will be New Buffalo. New Buffalo next in 20 minutes. For those of you that just boarded at Niles, welcome aboard Amtrak 365 the Blue Water. Please have your ticket or e-ticket and IDs ready for inspection.
Until 2009, Niles, Michigan would be the last stop in Michigan westbound before reaching Chicago on the Blue Water service, and the last station westbound in Michigan on the Wolverine service before reaching the Indiana stops, which are completely bypassed on the Blue Water service. Although you still pass by the stations, we just don't, stop at them. But thanks to the opening of the New Buffalo station in 2009, we have one more stop to make in Michigan. So, onward!
New Buffalo. If New Buffalo is your station stop, please take this time to check both above and around your seats for your personal belongings. When the exit the train as directed by a member of the crew, and be mindful of the gap between the train station platform as you exit. We'd also like to thank you for choosing the Blue Water service this morning. Once again, New Buffalo is up next. New Buffalo's a quick stop. Ladies and gentlemen, now departing from New Buffalo. New Buffalo is the final intermediate station stop of the morning. Next and final station will be Chicago's Union Station, as long as we encounter no future delays. Estimated arrival time in Chicago's Union Station is 12:05 in the Central Time Zone. Once again, estimated arrival time in Chicago's Union Station is 12:05. That is in 1 hour and 10 minutes.
The reason he needed to specify this is because Michigan lies in the Eastern Time Zone, and the state we are about to cross into after leaving New Buffalo immediately is Indiana. And Indiana is when we change time zones into the Central Time Zone, which also happens to be the time zone Illinois is in. And Illinois is home to the third largest city in the country, and also home to Amtrak's largest hub and Amtrak's final station stop on this service, and that is Chicago. Here we go. Choo choo.
I think we're in Indiana now. Yeah, we must be. We've slowed down now.
Here we are in Porter, Indiana. I skipped over Michigan City, Indiana, because, well, Amtrak doesn't stop there anymore as of 2022. They got rid of that stop because New Buffalo, Michigan is close by, and South Shoreline handles traffic to Chicago from Michigan City much better than Amtrak could. So, from that perspective, Amtrak did not need to serve Michigan City anymore, so they got rid of that stop. So we skipped over it, and even if they did still serve it, it's the Wolverine service that always served it, never the Blue Water, so it doesn't really matter to us in this video. We skipped straight ahead to Porter, Indiana, which is pretty significant to any of Amtrak's Michigan services, because if you are traveling on the Michigan services, you are going to pass through Porter, Indiana, and if you're heading eastbound, this is where all the fun begins, because Amtrak gains control over what happens next. But if you're heading westbound to Chicago, this is where Amtrak loses control of whatever happens next, because they don't own the line from here onward. They are now entering private property owned by Norfolk Southern, one of 5 or 6 freight corporations that carries heavy goods across the country. Hence, this is an important place, even though it doesn't have a train station, because this is the most significant part of the journey when the speed changes. You're no longer going at 110 miles per hour heading westbound. You're now going between 40 to 80 miles per hour if you're lucky, and as you'll see, we don't get very lucky later on. Historically, one of the most dangerous cities in America was Gary, Indiana, and that's one of the cities we are passing through right now as we speak. Gary, Indiana has a lot of truck traffic going cross country, so it's always a pain to be stuck on the highway in Gary. However, it's much safer than taking the side roads through Gary because, well, Gary doesn't exactly have the best reputation. It's known for fentanyl distribution. Fentanyl is illegal in the United States. And, well, Gary used to have a good steel industry here, but after that fell apart and after Michael Jackson died, Michael Jackson used to be from Gary, well, everything kind of went south for Gary, and I mean, it really went bad for Gary. But hey, maybe they'll get back on their feet someday. You never know. One thing I've learned, never count out a city even when they're down.
Please don't stop. Well, I mean, if you have to, I understand, but please don't. Ah, boy. Second time in a row.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're stopped here on the Norfolk Southern Freight Rail Line. There's some men ahead working on the tracks. There's also a freight train just ahead of us getting permission through their limits right now. As soon as they go through, we'll get our chance to go through. We do apologize for this delay right here, and we thank you for your patience.
landmark until our final destination of Chicago's Union Station. Once we arrive into the station, the train comes to a stop and you exit. Please continue walking in the same direction that we are currently traveling, and that'll bring you into the main part of the station. From there, follow the overhead signage or ask a uniformed Amtrak employee to find your next destination. We do have red caps set to meet this train. If you'd like red cap assistance, please flag one down off the platform. Or if you're having difficulty with that, please let any uniformed Amtrak employee know, and we will get the red cap assistance for you. As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the Central Time Zone. The current time is 12:32. This is important to remember if you're catching any train to any destination, as the departure time for your train will be in the Central Time Zone. If you are looking for a taxi, the best place to look is Jackson Boulevard. Only accept luggage assistance from a uniformed Amtrak employee or a taxi cab driver. When exiting the train to Chicago, please be mindful there is a gap between the train and station platform. There are handrails located on both sides of the stairs. Please watch your step and take your time as you exit from the train. All the doors will be opening in Chicago's Union Station. If for some reason the door you're standing at does not open after 20 seconds, just move to the other end of the car and exit from that door. At this time, I ask that everybody returns their seats to its original position and dispose of any trash you may have in the trash receptacles located on both ends of the coaches, built into the walls. And on behalf of the Port Huron, Battle Creek, and Chicago crew bases, we thank you for choosing Amtrak as your mode of transportation. We hope you enjoy your journey. Chicago's Union Station will be next.
Alright, finally reached the Shy, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Just give me a moment, and I will show the Shy. There's Union Station, and there's the Shy Town.
This is the city where I grew up. Well, the suburbs of it anyway.
That's Chicago. Well, here we are.
And as we wrap up this video, this is a good time to remind you that the Chicago to Detroit and Chicago to Port Huron train line is going to see upgrades in the future. If you're excited about that, be sure to leave a like. And if you watched all the way to the end of this video, comment pancakes. Because I'm a weirdo, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Bye.